Welcome back to our Database Design and Development unit. In Lesson 2, we will be looking at database structure. This will refresh the information that you've learned through our first, second and third year courses. As always, we have some learning intentions, and today our learning intention is to learn about the basic building blocks which form the structure of a database. As always, we have some success criteria. Today's success criteria is about being able to describe and exemplify what a data file, an entity, a record, and an attribute are. Firstly, let's look at a definition of what an entity is. Each table in a database is referred to as an entity. It contains all the information about a person, place, or thing. Let's now look at the building blocks of a database and look at how it is structured. The first thing to talk about is the data file. And a data file is a collection of structured information about one topic, so the entire database. In the case of our example on the left, that would be our phone info database. Secondly, we would talk about an entity, as discussed in the previous slide. Entities are represented by tables in databases. All the information about the person, place, or thing within that topic is stored within those tables. In the case of our example, our contacts table would be our entity. Within our entities, we have records, and they contain all the information in one entity object. Records are represented by rows in our tables. In this example, we show a record, and this record is for Dad. Those records have attributes or fields associated with them. An attribute or field is an individual item of data within the record, and they are represented by the columns in the tables. An example of which would be the phone number attribute. Each of our records contains a phone number. Let's look at a more practical example. These building blocks can be presented differently depending on the implementation of the database and where it is used. In this case, our data file would be the phone information. Within that, we would have our contacts entity, which would contain all our phone contacts. Within our contacts entity, we would have records. And in this case, we have a record for Dad. And that's Dad's contact information or Dad's record. And once again, those records have attributes or fields of information contained within them. An example of this would be the phone number in Dad's record. As suggested earlier, there are lots and lots of information stored in a variety of different places and things. Can you think of any other practical suggestions of a database that may store information about you? Can you think of at least 5 attributes that database may contain? That brings us to the end of our lesson on database structure. We hope you found what we had to say about data files, entities, records, and attributes interesting. Thanks again for joining us on our YouTube channel, Greif High Faculty of Business and Computing Science. Please remember to tell your friends, and please subscribe.